Hello guys. In today's video, I'm telling a classic story some of my friends tell each other all the time to this day. This is the first video on my channel where I'll talk about the stories that occurred during this time in my life. This video is about the time I was slumped off Xanax in school and ended up drooling on my desk in class. So this all began the previous day with me and my friends Eric and John. These aren't their real names because these people have jobs, and other things like that. And if someone recognizes them, uh, in these videos, it might give them a bad name or a bad rep. So we were smoking in my room. We were smoking the za in my room. John was pretty good at rolling joints, so he offered to roll if we had some weed because he had some papers. After a while, we were passing around the second J that John had pre rolled for us on the table. And then, in the middle of our conversation, Eric pipes up and says he has some Xans. Now, this piqued my interest. I had only tried Xanax a few times before this. He said he had 6 of them, so he'd give each of us 2 if we threw him like $5 each. But I didn't want to eat them that day, so I waited until the next morning right before school. At this point, I didn't quite know how to dose it yet, because I haven't been doing it super much previously before this. Uh, so I thought, eating 2 milligram ladders was just, a brilliant idea. So Eric was actually in my first period class and asked me if I had taken any of those Zans yet. I say to him, "Yeah, bro, I took both right before I got to school." And then he looks at me for a second. And then he says, "Bro, are you for real? I thought you had only started Zans like this month." I asked him if that was a lot for someone like me, and what he told me had me completely shook. He says, "Yeah, bro, that's a lot, just like in general." As soon as I hear this, I know I'm done. I'm completely fucked, right? I'm thinking that there is no way that I'm not going to get caught, being slumped in my chair. So, about 3/4 of the way through this period, this class period, I am completely barred out off these Zans. These were like some script Zans he got from his friend. They were pretty good. I don't remember a lot from what happened in the lecture, in this class in particular, but what I do remember is that I had raised my hand. Eric had then later told me that I got the question correct, which I had no recollection of this happening whatsoever. However, I do remember that at some point at the end of the class, around the end, right, like 10 minutes before it ended, I had definitely been nodding off and actually drooling on my desk. Like there was a puddle on my desk, on like the school desk, right? I had noticed that a few people had definitely seen me in this state. I'm not sure why anyone didn't report me, as the school has, had rampant drug issues in the past. I actually I actually have zero clue how I wasn't reported or like anything. That was just crazy to me. I also don't really remember how I really got around the whole rest of this first half of school, the school day. somehow I just did not miss any of my classes, as this was just a miracle that I was able to get through this day without any incident, really. I The only thing that I saw after this school day was, I think at one point there were actually a few Snapchat private stories of like people recording me in this like barred out state. Afterwards, I thought this was just like some funny ass shit. Like the next day, that shit was just fucking hilarious, bro. When I saw that shit. Anyway, later that day, after I had, definitely I had come off the two Zans I had, my bad. Um, and the rest of the school day was kind of chill. I didn't really do much else. I think I was ripping a cart or something uh, on, my bathroom breaks. And I think once during lunch, once or twice. Um, anyway, later that day, I just ended up getting baked as fuck in my room, and that's really all I have for this video. If you like this video, or if you can relate, please leave a like and subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments. It really helps me a lot when people interact with my videos. I really want to get my message around about harm reduction. It really means a lot to me, especially comments. It really gets this video into these types of videos into the algorithm when you comment. It's very important. Anyway, more videos to come. Trying to post at least once a week. Uh, See ya.